Hey, welcome to Arrow on Target. We are your hosts.
You can find us online at stayontargetpodcast.com. Right now we are talking about Arrow Midnight City.
Midnight City.
So, John, this is probably one of my favorite episodes as of late.
Really?
Just because we talked last week, last episode, about that this felt a lot like Gotham City, and I think this took it to a whole other level.
Oh, it really did.
With you even had like shots down at the docks, with like the shipping containers, and it felt like the Dark Knight whenever Batman's coming in and swooping up guys. It also like the whole thing with Brick and the mayor, and I'm gonna take over the Glade.
Dude, that was nuts.
It was amazing.
Dude, okay, so what I loved about that moment, whenever he's like, no, you know what? You are gonna do this. Because it's like, there's no way we would ever do that. That was like the entire audience saying that straight up to Brick. And then Brick gives it context. And he's like, no, you are gonna do that. Just like, what did he say? Just like they did in LA in 92, didn't they? So the quote was, we're not abandoning an entire section of the city. And Brick goes, they did in LA in 92, didn't they? And it's just like, holy cow, it's a real world scenario.
Yeah. And so that's what I love about
mind blown.
These few episodes is just, it feels very ground level. It feels like, okay, this is a guy who's he's not wanting to destroy the city like Slade or Malcolm Rowan. He wants to take over the city.
He wants to run the city,
exactly. And so it's really cool seeing that happen. I also thought the pacing was really good in this episode, and the direction was really good in this episode.
For sure.
It felt really, really good.
I agree, and it's like it kept up the pace from the previous episode. We talked a lot last episode about kind of that was that direction's kind of last episode of this season, and it was amazing. A lot of the action was huge, and in this one, on the flip side of that, we didn't see a bunch of just butt kicking in this one. What we did see was kind of Laurel getting her feet underneath her in this whole craziness, and I love that. I love that this is kind of and this episode kind of serves as this beginning origin story for Laurel as Canary.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I'm still not a fan of why are we not telling Detective Diggle about Sarah. And now she's pretending to be Sarah.
And it's and now, the thing that I hated about this episode, and the thing that's even more heartbreaking, is that now he's not going to forgive her, not only for not telling her, but for leading him on like this.
And lying to him.
And then now everybody else is an accomplice to her lie.
Yeah, they're complicit in this.
Exactly.
Thing.
And it's now, I don't know, it's gone to a whole nother level. And while I do see that this was not the time to try to deal with this and they needed that information, it's you should have told him long ago whenever there was not a pressure situation like this at stake. And you had to resort to this.
Exactly. And while I agree that it was needed to call him up on the telephone with her voice, it was not needed to do the whole appearance on the fire escape at the end of the episode.
Yeah,
that
not
was
at all.
Stupid.
And that was just stupid. And it's just heartbreaking. Every time I was watching those scenes, I was just this is ridiculous. It kind of physically angers me that it's happening. And it's it's at a whole nother level. She's no longer avoiding the grieving process, and she's no longer keeping this from him, trying to protect him.
Yeah.
She's just being mean now, it's this is at a whole nother level of crazy,
Well, that, and then I feel like they can't utilize. Is he detective or is he commissioner?
I think he's commissioner now.
So they can't utilize Commissioner Lance as a character until they deal with this. Honestly,
that's true.
He's relegated to showing up at crime scenes, and he's in some cop cars.
It's true.
And
because anyone who is interacting with him on a personal level, they're lying to him.
They have this huge secret, and so they're going to limit the interactions that they have with him.
Right.
And so, I don't like the marginalization of his character. I really love his character.
Yeah. I mean, it's and okay, so I do like that from a storytelling perspective. I like the fact that this is in there, and I like the fact that that Laurel has this this really unrealistic idea of what of her protecting him. It's she's protecting the city now as Canary, and she's trying to protect him, and so it's gonna have this big conflict eventually, and it's gonna be interesting to see how that works out. And I love that. I stepping back and looking at it from that perspective. I love it, but whenever you're in the middle of it, it's really just heart-wrenching to watch. And it's, like you said, it's like it sucks that his character, almost like we haven't seen a lot of him this season. You know? It's like, and he's such a good character, and Paul Blackthorne is such a good actor. It's like, man, I just want to see him used more.
Yeah.
That being said, I enjoyed Laurel again this episode. Like, it's interesting that the last 2 episodes, I don't think she's done anything, just off the wall, that I didn't like in some way, or that wasn't compelling, I guess. Because it's like a lot of times, like season 2, there was just some storylines with her that just were not compelling. And it's like, it seems like they stepped back a lot and gave us a break from kind of her character while she was doing the whole boxing training thing. And now that we have her back, she's almost a different mentality, different kind of character.
Yeah.
And so I tend to like her more now.
Yeah, I like her more. However, like the whole, she accidentally gets somebody killed, which was stupid. It's kind of like, okay, you should have seen this coming. Which obviously the team doesn't work as well without Oliver, so I like that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, then I'm going to have this huge emotional like breakdown over it.
Well, so did Roy, granted there, it's like he had this kind of reaction to it as well, but it's like, and I think
this can't be the first time somebody's died under Roy's watch.
Well, I mean, other than, the fact that, didn't he kill that? Like, he was trying to deal with that. So, like, it wasn't as extreme for him. But, I mean, you did mention last week that you deal in these big, like, extremes on the show a lot of times. On the emotional side of things. And so this is just another one of those big emotional waves. And we dealt extremely a lot with that with, like, Felicity's character this time, too. Because she's refusing to help Ray Palmer with his suit. Yeah. And just basically backs off from that whole thing altogether.
Well, she's backed away from everything.
Right.
She's backed away from Ray Palmer. She's backed away from Team Arrow. Yeah. And but at the end of the episode, she comes around, and I think to the right spot. Yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. And Ray this time didn't creep me out. Even in the last 2 episodes, he didn't creep me out nearly as much as he did like earlier in the season.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Positives there.
I think an interesting thing, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with it, is like, so Team Arrow doesn't seem to even work right without Felicity. So it's like Felicity's almost like the glue that holds Team Arrow together.
Well, last episode, it was interesting at the very beginning, before she kind of opted out, before she was just like, I'm kind of done, or even had those thoughts. It was more like she was running the show. And if you think about how her and Oliver work, they kind of run it together a lot of times. Like, whenever he's there, she's one side of it, he's one side of the investigation, and he's the other.
Right.
And so you have that interplay. And so now you're missing Oliver, and so you only got this, the one unifying thing the through line that basically does investigating things, other than the canvassing that Diggle apparently does with Roy. So, and even, what was it? Roy goes, I'm going to hit the streets.
I'm going to hit the streets. Which, I know he's going to put on his Arsenal suit and go out, but it sounds like he's going to go canvassing again.
Knock on doors.
Roy, enough of the canvassing.
Stop knocking on doors.
These people are tired of being bothered.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's like, so I think that makes sense in my mind, like the way that the team has grown to work and the way that the Arrow family kind of works.
I mean, kind of, though. But, think about whenever there was the crossover with Felicity and the Flash, and they were fine without her.
Well, they were running on automation, and they even did that this episode. Whenever she was gone, it was Diggle was running facial recognition whenever she wasn't there.
Right.
And so it's like it sort of works, but I think that because of they're basically emotionally shattered since Oliver hasn't returned.
Yeah.
And is dead. I mean, like in their minds, he's gone, and that is brought to the forefront by Malcolm with the sword and things. So it's.
This is my problem. They still haven't dealt with the issue that came up last episode about the fact that they can't trust her. Like when she shut the door in their faces.
Yeah.
Like they can't trust her.
Well, they couldn't.
Honestly, she's too emotionally unstable for them to anticipate any reaction in the heat of the battle.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because again, I feel like almost everyone has had those moments. Like Roy with the Diggle. Yeah, Diggle's the only.
And Roy was only because he was drugged up.
Well, which is why Diggle's kind of the Rock. But even after that, he was just angry. Like he's just angry Roy. I mean, it's like I think everybody kind of has gone through those emotional things, and obviously Laurel, we know that Laurel has gone through a lot of those emotional things where you can't rely on her, you can't really do those things, and but I definitely think that this is just another interesting thing that's happening with Felicity, but now that she's in, like at the end of the episode, remember she comes back and she's like, I'm all in, and she's also helping Ray Palmer. Like that's the part of it that I'm kind of like either way on, where it's like she's helping Team Arrow, but now she's also helping Ray Palmer. So it's like I don't know where we're going here. Like I don't know if she even knows. Like it seems like she's just at one point in this episode she's like, I'm all out, and now she's come back and she said, I'm all in. Whereas before, whenever Oliver was in the city, she didn't really feel comfortable helping Ray because she had this other team, because she had Oliver to push and back. But now she's basically just saying, okay, now that Oliver's gone and Team Arrow is less effective, I'm going to push on everything, and be that thing. So, I don't know. It's like, it almost seems like maybe she'll be spread too thin. Maybe... She's
already spread too thin. Like, right. You look at, they're in the middle of, like, investigating. She's like, I have to get to work. It's just like, it's the freaking middle of the night, Felicity. You don't have to get to work.
I don't know. You never, like, in that Arrow cave, you never know what time it is.
Well, but then she goes to work and it's dark outside.
That's true.
The skyscraper.
That's true. I also, like, in these 2 episodes, the one thing that I did lose was a little bit more of that, like, how much time has passed. Because we didn't have the day-night cycle a lot of times, but it seemed like multiple days would pass. Because even, like, Malcolm Merlin, whenever he goes off to the mountain...
is that this episode or last episode?
I think it was last episode, which we didn't talk about it. Last episode of Arrow on Target. But whenever he goes off to the mountain, that took Oliver, like, 24 hours to get to. Like, they gave him 24 hours to, like, say his piece and then go to the mountain. Right. So it's like, it took 12 hours maybe to get there. Or whatever.
I think, well, not if they gave him 24 hours to say his piece and get there. It probably took him it took him time, for sure. But it did. It felt like no time at all. It felt like Malcolm Merlin walked out and then walked back in. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I have the sword. Because we cut to a flashback scene on that, in that time that he was supposedly traveling. And so it's like, it's weird. Like, it's weird to me, to have these 2 episodes that I can't really determine how much time has passed in them. Like, whenever Oliver gets back, legitimately in their universe, when is this going to be? And like, how much time will have passed since he went away? Because he's got to take some time to heal. Maybe that's what we're doing. Maybe it's like, hey, we want there to be a perceptibility of more time is passing than we're actually showing. And so, things are just getting progressively worse and worse and worse. And so whenever Oliver actually returns, he'll be fully healed, that sort of thing. Yeah, I will say there's a better way to portray it. Yeah. So, what did you think about the DJ working for Ra's al Ghul? Dude, it's like, I didn't see that coming until he shows up there. Like, until right at the beginning of that scene, I was like, this guy, there's something wrong with him. I bet you he's watching her. Right. Right. Because before, it was just like this weird, odd... I thought they might be playing up like a love triangle type situation with him and Roy and her. And so it's like, I thought they might be doing that again, which is very season 1 Arrow. Yeah. But they weren't. They had their end game in mind, and it's like, holy cow, it's so much better than what I thought it could have been. So I have an Easter egg that I want to see if you noticed. Ooh. Whenever whenever Thea is at home, sitting on the couch reading, and Malcolm Merlin comes in, what book is she reading? I didn't catch it as it went by, but I did see it on Facebook today. Yeah. And it was a Brad Meltzer book. Yep. Which is awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I saw it. I'm like, that's a Brad Meltzer book. That's really cool. Yeah. No, I did not catch that on the actual. For those of you who don't know, Brad Meltzer, he writes like political thrillers, and he's also written the I Am Abraham Lincoln and I Am the Earhart and I Am Albert Einstein and books, a bunch of comic books as well with Chris Eliopoulos. Yeah. Chris Eliopoulos is the artist on those, and those books are amazing. Like, if you haven't read those books, go out, pick them up. They're amazing. Yes. But yeah, he's written a bunch of comic books and things like that as well. So it's it's awesome to see them do that. Throw that in there. Yeah. Yeah. But the Thea thing, where do you think that's going? I don't know. Like, they're playing it off like she doesn't know who Oliver is. I mean, I still don't think she honestly does. Otherwise, they would have had her react in a different way. I hope that she finds out soon. Like, this is just getting ridiculous, and I honestly hope she uncovers what Malcolm's done. Yeah. Because that's also getting ridiculous. Her whole relationship with Malcolm is predicated upon the fact that he doesn't lie to her like everyone else. Whenever even this episode she admitted that, hey, you're lying to me. You're not telling me the truth about why we need to leave.
It's interesting that she took some time to get to that point where she was like, Oliver, you're lying to me. I'm going to, and then I'm going to, not talk to you anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
And now she's getting to that point slowly with Malcolm. So it's like, and same with Roy. Same situation. And that's whenever Roy told Malcolm, he's like, you're lying to her. He's like, you had her before, but now it's over. You've already lost because you've lied to her. She's not going to choose you. And it's like, and that makes sense to me, that I think that in the end, we may in fact see the team up that we all want.
Yeah.
Between Team Arrow and Thea.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I think it would be amazing. And I was thinking this whenever she said something to Roy last episode about like knowing the Arrow or whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking it would be interesting if she took Oliver's place in his absence a little bit. Like suited up in the Arrow suit and did the thing, did the Arrow thing. I feel like that'd be so cool. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I that was just a thought that I had, and obviously it's complete conjecture. But
I mean, it would be really cool. And honestly, like I would be happier seeing her out on the streets than seeing Laurel. I really don't care about seeing Laurel out on the streets. Like, I agree that her character needs, a good story arc, and we will see her out there, so that's cool. But, like, honestly, I would be more excited about seeing Thea out on the streets. Like, she has better training, she has better motivation, she's
I don't know about better motivation, because, like, the motivation of, what's her motivation right now? Other than, to clean up the streets. There really is none.
There's no motivation for
Thea.
No, there's no motivation for Laurel at all. Besides, like, I'm just gonna like.
She's avenging her sister and like all of those things.
Kind of, it's her way. Honestly, like this is her way of staying connected to her sister. That's what's always been like, and she has this like rage inside. Like this is a terrible, terrible reason for going and trying to fight crime.
But I think that's better motivation than because the only reason Thea really knows how to fight is because she was trying to get to know her father. Yeah. And so it's like and Malcolm's a terrible person, so it's like there is no real motivation there, and there's no real motivation to clean up streets or anything like that. I just don't see why she would go out there and do it any more than Laura would. But
yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know. Like she's better skilled.
Yeah.
She I don't know. I would rather see her out there.
Yeah, and I would love to see both of them out there, but it's like it's one of those things that you're right that she's better trained, and it would be nice to see her fill that because obviously Diggle couldn't really pretend to be Oliver either. It's like he gave that a shot and couldn't really pull it off.
I feel like Diggle needs a suit.
I really do too.
He needs some kind of like outfit.
Well, he doesn't even wear a mask, man.
He has he's revealing himself to everyone.
Yeah, it's like he has no secret identity because his secret identity is his only identity.
Right.
It's like it's so weird. And even if you give him like a gun or a Glock or whatever, it's like still give him a mask of some sort.
Right.
Give him like one of those little masks that you have that they can't cost that much.
Right.
So and I know Oliver's running on less fundage right now than he has in the past, but anyway.
Yeah. I almost thought that like Ray Palmer was going to somehow like end up funding like Team Arrow or something like that. I'm like, what is going to happen here?
Yeah. It's weird. Like I think that Ray wants to. I don't know what his end game is because it's like he says he's like and I respect him because like they go out there and they don't have armor.
Yeah.
And it's like. So is it that he thinks he can do a better job than them? Is it that he? I really just don't
understand his motivations at all.
I mean, it's like he wants to go out there and protect the people he loves. I understand that, and it's like he wants to go and like avenge, his. Was he married? Was it his wife or was it his fiancée?
I think it was his fiancée.
Okay, so they weren't married yet. So he wants to avenge her, but I mean. We don't know how he wants to do it. We don't know why he thinks that he's better. He's good for the job, or he's better than Arrow or anything. I don't know.
We don't know if that's the truth.
Do you think we'll see him suit up this season?
I can see him suiting up this season. Like my thing was with we don't know if that's the truth. Like he was telling Felicity that to whenever he was trying to convince her to join him. And then we saw later, whenever he had the conversation with that investor, how manipulative he could be with his stories and his emotions. It's true. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised me at all if he is just using Felicity
to get the power.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that for sure. I feel like we'll probably see him suit up. I don't know if we'll see him in action. I don't know if we'll come to a very good place with his storyline this season by the end of the season. I just don't know how much he'll have to do with the Raish and Brick storylines going on. So
I mean, honestly, I think kind of depends on whether or not they're going to spin his character off into another show. If they're going to do that, then they're going to save a lot of that stuff for the show.
Yeah.
And if they're not, then we'll see it. But
I don't know. I mean, I like him. I like the dynamic that he brings to the table. Yeah, but I just don't know about his character yet. I really don't know. If he had a separate show, spin-off show, would you watch it?
I mean, yeah.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know that...
Especially if it's set in the same universe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course. But I just don't know. It's like, it's one of those things where I don't see myself enjoying it nearly as much just based on the fact that I don't know him very
That's what I'm saying. They have to give him some kind of noble purpose for doing what he's doing, and we don't have that yet.
Yeah. Anything else that you had there?
No, I think I'm good. I'm really excited to see I love seeing, what happens to Starling City without Oliver, and I'm excited to see what happens next. And even, the flashbacks were cool this episode, in the club and that whole dynamic, with Oliver and, what his I like his history with Amanda Waller. We're still exploring that. So,
yep.
But honestly, he can take as much time as he wants away from Starling City. I'm really, really interested to see what happens.
I agree. And all of the characters that are inside Starling City and how they're under this ridiculous amount of pressure is really making some interesting choices and is really causing for some really cool storylines. I don't think there's a single character here that I don't like their storyline going on. So yeah. I would say that again we had the three kind of timelines or three stories going because we had him, we had the flashbacks, and we had this. Yeah. So I like the way that feels.
I mean we're gonna have that until he comes back.
Right, and I really like how that feels. It feels right. There's nothing slow about it, and sometimes it just ups the pace that much more, and I just like that. Do you want some quotes?
Sure.
All right, we have the mayor saying, "I don't negotiate with terrorists, and I certainly don't do it in person." And then she turns around and does exactly that. Negotiates with the terrorist, and in fact meets him in person. Which was a nuts scene. Then we have, I guess you came here to talk some sense into me. Seems like, and then Felicity says, seems like you could use some. That was a really cool scene between Felicity and Laurel. I really liked whenever Felicity went to turn Laurel around, or at least talk to her, and it ended up the other way around, where Laurel was like, "I'm done. I'm out of this," and then Felicity was like, "No, actually, you're not. We're gonna do this." So I really enjoyed that and that dynamic. And then we have Laurel saying, "I thought that being Sarah would make it hurt less, but instead it made it hurt more," and said, "I'm not strong enough to fight for Sarah." And then Felicity turned around and said, "Sarah's gone. Oliver is gone. Whatever we're doing, maybe we're not doing it for them. Maybe we're doing it for the people that are left," which I enjoyed that as well.
And that's what I'm talking about because that's the correct motivation that, anyone can have on the show, but especially that's the motivation that Thea needs to have. That's the motivation that Ray Palmer needs to have. That's the motivation that whatever her name is, I can't think right now.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about.
Who she was talking to.
Oh, Laurel.
Laurel, that's the motivation that Laurel needs to have. Not all this crazy stuff dealing with her sister. It's such bad therapy to do what she's doing.
Yeah.
Just to get over her sister's death.
Yeah, and I think that now and that's one of the reasons why I enjoy where we're at with her character, and we haven't quite gotten there with Thea yet, and we haven't quite gotten there, but I would love to see us get there. with her character and basically all of the heroes. I want to see the heroes working more together than just doing their own thing or having their own agenda or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I just think it's an easy turn for a lot of it's an easy turn for Ray Palmer to make. He has things to fight for.
Yeah.
It's an easy turn for Thea to make. She has things to fight for. It is an easy turn for Laurel, but like the way they write her character, it's not easy. She is such a hard-headed person. It's hard to get these things through to her.
Which is one of the reasons why I thought that this was a little bit more compelling than even some of the other storylines, because it was harder for her. It has been, it's not necessarily in her DNA to turn around and do this. It's in her DNA to stay stuck in the same spot, because that's what she's been for all the seasons. Is she's been stuck in these different locations and barely moved forward. And so this jump of like, hey, get over it. And I think that this will really turn whenever she finally tells Commissioner Lance the truth. Quentin, the truth. I think that's whenever we'll see the real turn on her character, and that's whenever, again, I just think that she's had so much to overcome in this, this season, that it's like that's why I'm more interested in her character right now than I've ever been, and more so than some of the other characters that are there. I don't know. It's just a taste thing, probably.
I mean, I agree that I'm more interested in her character right now. I still don't think that until she takes what Felicity said to heart, her motivations are still all wrong.
So you don't think that she has yet?
No.
Okay.
She's still trying to be Sarah. That's why we had the whole ending thing with her father.
Yeah.
Until she stops doing that.
That's why I said.
She comes clean to Quentin. Until all that crap works itself out, she is not the hero she needs to be.
Yeah. When do you think that'll happen? Do you think that'll happen in the next few episodes? Do you think that'll happen closer to the season finale?
I have no idea. It needs to happen soon.
Yeah.
I mean,
at this point, it's getting old on the audience side of things, to watch it.
Yeah.
It's getting to where it was heart-wrenching before, then it's heartbreaking, and now it's just getting to the point where I said last episode of the podcast that it's just a little bit frustrating.
Well, she's taking the salt and just rubbing it in, man.
Yeah. It's making it hard. It's making it really
and it's making it hard for me to like her because of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we have Star City. Seems more like Brick City to me.
That was amazing.
I like that. Dude, Brick is always on point with his his quips. He's always got something weird to say. And then if we're not abandoning an entire section of the city, he says they did in LA in '92, didn't they?
Did we quote that last time?
I did. I quoted that earlier.
Earlier.
And then let me see. We have, you said the arrow is gone. Are you sure about that? And then Felicity replies, yes, but I think I might know where to find the canary. Boom. That was so awesome. That was a great moment.
Yeah.
I got chills there. Anyway, then we have the best one of the episode, my favorite one of the episode, which says, I'm going to tell you, I would be far more confident in your aeronautic skills if you knew that helicopters don't have keys. And then Felicity goes, they don't? And he says, no. And she says, helicopters don't have keys. Who knew? Is it on the roof? And then, anyway. And then she goes and runs and gets it.
Yes.
Gets his helicopter. I loved that. That was a likable moment for him, which has been...
Ray Palmer.
Ray Palmer. Yeah. And then that is basically it. So there were some other ones that I can throw out here, but I think we're good.
That's it for this week. Well, you can find us online at stayontargetpodcast.com. We also have another podcast called Stay on Target Podcast. You can find it online. You can also find our Flash on Target podcast where we talk about the CW's Flash, if you follow that as well. That's it for this week. We'll see you next time on
Arrow on Target.